Hey guys, Daniel Johnson coming at you with another harmonica video. This one's going to be a little different than what I've put out recently, and I want to talk to you for a little bit about this pedal. Okay, this is the JHS Panther Cub V2, and it's an analog delay. Now I know that us harmonica players are pretty familiar with analog delays and what they can do, but this one has some interesting features that most other analog delays don't have. I've been using it on my board for a while, and I really like it. So I just want to show you some of the features it has and demo some of the sounds and really show you what it can do. And I hope you like it as much as I do. All right, so here we have the pedal. And before we start talking about what this pedal offers, I just want to give you a quick kind of history of analog delay and maybe how they're different than digital delays. So an analog delay is kind of categorized as being darker than a digital delay. Digital delays are meant to recreate your sound in a really pristine way, and especially for us harmonica players, that can come across really like bright and piercing, and we don't always want that. So I've always kind of leaned towards the analog delay market, and this pedal kind of builds on the tradition of using bucket brigade technology. Okay, so a bucket brigade chip is a very common chip used in analog delays, and I am not a pedal builder, so I can't give you like all the perfect ins and outs of the specifications. But the way it was explained to me, and that makes a lot of sense to me, is you think about like a bucket brigade back in the old days, before we had big fire engine trucks that could come put out fires. You would send a bucket brigade, okay? So that's like a group of guys, and they form like an assembly line kind of thing, and they all have a bucket. And one guy scoops water out of something, and they pass it in their bucket to the guy next to them, who passes it to the guy next to him, so on and so forth, and it goes down the line. But you think about doing that, when you're in a hurry, you're sloshing water from bucket to bucket, you're gonna lose just a little bit of water every time it goes to the next guy in the next bucket. That's kind of what bucket brigade technology does with your repeats. Every repeat kind of degrades and loses a little bit of its integrity. And that may sound like a negative thing, but it really gives this like dark kind of characteristic to the repeats that a lot of people have loved over the years. And I think it works really well for harmonica. So just a quick rundown of this pedal. We have a time knob, and the time knob, as you turn it counterclockwise, increases the time from the moment that you play to the time the echo kicks in. And as you increase it clockwise, you can see that kind of tempo light here on the right speeds up because the delay time speeds up. Next to that, we have a volume knob, and that is literally just the volume of your draw signal. So when you step on this pedal, if you want to get a boost, you can have that. Next to the volume knob, we have a mix knob, and the mix knob is kind of like a volume knob for your echoes. Okay, it increases or decreases the volume of your repeats. Directly down from the mix knob, we have our EQ, which is a tilt style EQ. So as you turn to the left or counterclockwise, you darken up the sound of your repeat. And as you turn clockwise, you can kind of brighten those up. And that only EQs your repeats. So that does not EQ your draw signal. Left of the EQ knob, we have our feedback knob. So that's just going to control the amount of repeats you want. And you can go all the way from just one repeat all the way up to infinite repeats, which can do some really neat like oscillating things that I don't really have a practical use for, but they're really cool to mess around with at the house. And then we have our ratio knob. So our ratio knob changes the subdivision of our delays related to the tempo that we have selected. So if you want straight quarter notes, you can have that. If you want dotted eighths, you can have that. Increasing clockwise, we have just regular eighth notes, and then all the way to the right, we have triplets, okay? Also, if we turn the pedal on its side, we can see that it has some modulation controls. You can turn the modulation on or off. I generally keep it off just because I'm not a crazy big fan of modulation in delay, but some people like it, and what it's really meant to do is kind of emulate a tape delay, and the way that those tapes can kind of wear down and get some weird things going on as they age. This isn't really a tape delay, but that's kind of what modulation and delay is for. And then we can just kind of speed up or slow down the modulation. Also, on the other side of the pedal, we have an input for a tap tempo or an expression pedal. So you can control different parameters of the pedal with an expression pedal, or you can just plug in any sort of external tap tempo switch. I actually have the MXR tap tempo switch on my pedal board running to this pedal. All right, so next I want to take you through the ratio knob just so you can kind of hear what that sounds like. So I put the tempo knob right, or the time knob rather, right in the middle, and I've turned up the mix just a little so we can hear those repeats a little better, and I've increased the feedback so we'll have more repeats to work with. So check this out. This is the quarter note. Okay, here's the dotted eighth. Okay, I'm going to turn it up to the eighths now. And now we're going all the way up to triplets. And I'm going to turn the time down just a little bit so you can hear those better. So as you can hear just from the end of that little demonstration of the triplets, if you have the feedback up just a little bit and you let the echoing note clash with something that you are just about to play or just have played, kind of like when I bent that 3 draw down, you get some really crunchy things, and sometimes that can be good and sometimes that can be bad, but it's just something to be aware of. All right, guys, so next I want to demonstrate kind of how I use the Panther Cub and the settings that I keep it on. So as you can see, I have it on the quarter note, and I pretty much leave it on quarter note all the time. I keep the feedback knob about 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and I keep the EQ knob all the way down or almost all the way down, and I just do that because I want the darkest repeats I can get. As a harmonica player, I don't really often try to brighten my sound because I really think this instrument is bright enough in most cases. Also, I keep that volume and mix knob about where you see. Now, as far as tempo goes, I have that external tap tempo switch from MXR that I mentioned, and there's a lot of those on the market. You would not have to just get the MXR one. But if you don't want one of those, there is an onboard tap tempo switch. So as you can see, that LED kind of sped up as I increased the tempo. And that tap tempo switch is one of the things that really sets the Panther Cub apart from other analog delays on the market. Now, there are others that have it. One that comes to mind is the MXR Carbon Copy Deluxe. I know it has a tap tempo switch, and it also uses those Bucket Brigade chips just like this. But that is pretty rare for an analog delay, and it's really cool and really useful. So I sync my pedal to the tempo of whatever song I'm playing, and that really helps. So I'm going to set it to a pretty moderate tempo here, and just kind of demonstrate how I use it. I joke all the time that you can like make whale call noises with this pedal, so I'll demonstrate some of that. And then other than that, I use it a lot for just atmospheric kind of chordal or tongue blocked delays, and I'll demonstrate some of that for you now. So next, I want to show you how you could dial in this pedal for more of a slapback approach. And when I say slapback, that's just a general term for meaning generally one repeat, and it usually comes in really quickly after your dry signal, and it doesn't really distract too much from what you're playing. It just kind of adds some depth there and can really kind of fatten up what you're playing. I don't use this pedal as a slapback simply because I usually keep, or I always keep, another delay on my board that I have dialed in as a short slapback, and then I use this one for longer stuff. But it does sound really good for that, so I want to demonstrate that now. As you can see, I've increased the ratio all the way to the triplet, and I just did that because the triplets come in the quickest of all the subdivisions. I decreased the feedback time just a little bit. The EQ is unchanged. I've turned down the mix just a little because with a slapback, you don't want it to be as in your face. You want it to be kind of subtle. And I've increased the time just a little bit so that it's a pretty short delay. So check it out. So I really like slapback delay, and I know a lot of guitar players do as well. And you could turn down the mix even more, just a little bit there, and it would be even more subtle. So let's see what that sounds like. Maybe even a little more. Yeah, if you really didn't know that was on, you might not even know it. So let's A and B that. So let's turn it off. I'll play the same lick. So I really think slapback delay adds a lot just towards fattening up your sound, and I use it a lot during solos. So finally, I want to demonstrate something for you called runaway oscillation. Runaway oscillation is when you get your delay pedal going infinitely or indefinitely, and it just isn't going to stop, and you tweak the knobs and you can make it sound really crazy. Now, I'm not a pedal builder, so I'm not going to try to explain to you exactly why that happens, but it definitely has to do with the circuits inside the pedal, and it can create some really cool sounds and some really neat effects that I have not figured out how to apply them to an actual show yet, but they're really cool to play with at home. So check this out. I'm just going to kind of get it going, and then I'm going to set my microphone down and just start tweaking knobs, and we'll see what happens. So guys, as you can hear, you can make some really strange sounds. Kind of sounded like a spaceship might have landed on top of my house. So probably gonna wrap this video up pretty quick and go check that out. Well guys, I really appreciate you checking out my demo of the JHS Panther Cub V2. I really like that pedal, and I hope you guys enjoyed what you heard. Please let me know in the comments what you thought. I'd love to chat with you about it there. Also, I'm on Facebook on all the Harmonica groups, so hit me up over there and we can continue the conversation. And don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe for more nerdy harmonica and harmonica gear content like this. I'll catch you later.